The ministry we're looking at today is the Officers Christian Fellowship, or OCF for short. To get started, point your web browser to ocf.gospelcom.net. The Officers Christian Fellowship is a ministry that serves people who are serving in the military. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, National Guard, Coast Guard. It doesn't matter what branch of the military you serve in or what your rank is. OCF wants to help you live an effective Christian life while you're serving your country. But OCF also serves another important audience, the families of military personnel. So if you're a spouse, widow, parent, or child of somebody in the military, OCF wants to help you too. That's OCF in a nutshell. Their website does a good job of providing content that's useful to both of those audiences, military personnel and their families. Let's get started. Most of OCF's ministry is of the face-to-face variety. So first up is info on connecting to an OCF chapter near you. Now, you don't have to join OCF just to use the website, but doing so has a number of benefits. I'll let you read that for yourself. For now, let's look at the Find OCF Near You link. This is where you can track down an OCF chapter or contact person near where you're living or where you're deployed. To get an idea of the scope of this ministry, take a look at all the different locations listed in these drop-down menus. Wherever you're deployed, chances are you can find an OCF branch near you. But let's move on to what I'd consider the heart of this website, the articles section. There are massive numbers of articles here covering topics ranging from spiritual warfare to family issues. But most of them approach these issues from a military or a military family perspective. It would take quite a while to browse through these all, so I'll let you do that in your spare time. But I do want to point out some of the highlights and hidden gems in this article section. First, in the seasonal category, there are two good articles about dealing with family separation during the holidays, one about Christmas and another about Thanksgiving. A lot of military personnel and their families are separated from loved ones during the holidays, and these articles might speak to you if you're in that situation. Speaking of families, one of the best articles in this whole section is in the finances section. It's the first one at the top of the page, called A Christian View of Personal Finances, and it's actually a series of several thorough articles all about getting your finances on track. It starts with the very basics, laying out a Christian view of money, and then it goes on to talk in great detail about how to get your family financial plan understood and on track. This guidance is useful for just about anybody, but especially for military families living on tight budgets. Now, cultivating leadership is a big theme in the OCF. The leadership articles talk at length about how to be an effective Christian officer in the military. Now, the women category also has a couple of interesting articles, including an article on being a single female who's serving in the military, and how to be a good spouse to a husband who might be serving in the military. And lastly, several categories deal with some of the big questions about Christians and military service. The ethics category, the faith and military category, and the war category down at the bottom all have a lot of articles revolving around the fundamental crisis of being a Christian and a soldier. How can a Christian reconcile his faith with a profession that might require him or her to do some pretty morally uncomfortable things? Well, there's lots of discussion about that and other moral questions that crop up in the course of military service. A few more quick things before we wrap up our tour. There's a prayer request section where you can submit a prayer request to OCF. There are also, in the resources section, a number of downloadable Bible studies you can use either by yourself or with a group of other people in your unit to do Bible studies. And lastly, also in this resources section, you'll see the OCF has a few different publications. One of these is Command Magazine. Let's click on that. You can subscribe to receive Command Magazine, but here in this Command Magazine section on the site, you can actually download a lot of back issues, about a year's worth, in PDF form. Among other things, these issues have a lot more articles like the ones we've just discussed. So that wraps up our very brief tour of the OCF website. There's a lot more here, so I hope you'll take a few moments to browse it for yourself and see what the Officers Christian Fellowship is up to. Have fun!